I think it was everything you can ask for in not only a wrestling event, but a night of entertainment. WrestleMania 38 is in the books, and it was an awesome show. With surprise returns, argued legendary performances, some shockers, some disappointments, and all in all, it was just an awesome show beyond everything. And I'm really excited to talk with AJ the Bear, Anthony Fernandez, and Ryan Page to talk about it. Guys, tell me, what did you guys think in your initial thoughts? What did you think of WrestleMania 38?
It was great. Night one was definitely, in my opinion, the better of the two nights, despite the main event of night two being kind of the overall main event. But both nights, I think, were really good. And overall, it's definitely one of the best WrestleManias that I've been around for. Obviously, I've watched some of the old classics back, but in terms of since I started watching live, this is definitely one of the best WrestleManias that they've put on.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. I think it was better than I expected it was going to be, honestly. And night one was better, but second night it was kind of just fun to watch, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll get into it, but there was times in the second night where I was just genuinely excited, and that only happened once, night one, which we will get into. Night two had several moments where I was just genuinely excited, and I didn't even care, frankly, what was happening.
Yeah,
but we'll get into all of that, I'm sure.
I feel like WrestleMania may have been a better night for pure wrestling, and it was really good, while night two was a pure night of sports entertainment, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think they mixed it better than people, because I've seen it a lot on Twitter and stuff. I think it's mixed better than, we'll get into it, than people realize. I think there were some genuinely entertaining non-in-ring things that happened on night one, and there was some very good wrestling on night two of WrestleMania. The only difference is all of the memorable moments of night two didn't involve good wrestling. But there was, if you strip away what everyone obviously is talking about from night two, there was still some very good wrestling. It just, those weren't nearly as, memorable as what ended up happening alongside of it. Whereas night one, a lot of the good wrestling is what was memorable. So I think that there was definitely a mix between the two. Just obviously, I think night one had a little bit more in terms of in-ring. But again, we'll get into that. Also, I got pretty much everything wrong. I almost wish I'd gotten every single guess wrong, just because that would have been more impressive than the abysmal amount of predictions that I got correct. Like, abysmal. Night one, Jesus. I got the Corbin match right. Yeah. That's it.
You could have betted on FanDuel.
Oh, and Seth. I got Seth right. But Seth losing and Corbin losing. That's what I got right on night one. Night two, slightly better. But I mean, nothing. I got nothing.
Right. So while we get into the nitty gritty, and as we record, this is released on Tuesday the 5th, so we will not have seen the infamous Raw after WrestleMania. But we'll see how accurate we were in this, and if not, then you can put it on the Freezing Cool Take, any Freezing Cool Take posts on Twitter and Instagram. So while we go into what was deemed as the most important, greatest WrestleMania main event, in a battle that took place on night two, close to midnight, and we can complain about that another day, but some of us have to get up really in the morning, and it was a fight, but we got through what we had to do. But Roman Reigns defeats Brock Lesnar clean in a winner-take-all match for the WWE and Universal Championship, and now he is top dog and holds both belts in the rings. Now, for me, for a match I was waiting a long time for, and I've mentioned how much I was genuinely into it. For a match that only lasted 12 minutes and 15 seconds, I do think it was good, but then it just kind of ended. You see Roman Reigns spear Brock Lesnar right before. He's talking to Paul that whether we were supposed to hear it or not, Roman says it's out. and then he, after trying to spear him and does a Kimura lock, Lesnar does to Reigns. You hear it's out. Then he spears him, and it was over. There was 15 minutes left in the broadcast after he held the titles, and I thought this would be the moment we've all been waiting for as a generation of The Rock coming out. And you saw when they showed Michael Parsons and Ezekiel Elliott, his mother was in the ring.
The Rock's mom was ringside, yeah.
And I guess she was just there to maybe support the Usos, or she likes wrestling still.
She is related to Roman Reigns. That is kind of the whole selling point of The Rock and Roman Reigns. So I guess it could just be she wanted to go see a wrestling match.
Right.
But
yeah, bottom line, we saw the end of this match, and Roman is champ, which now creates lots of fun speculations from what they do from here on out. So, gentlemen, what did you think of this, the quick ending, how this is now going to go in the long and short term? Do we think this was the greatest WrestleMania main event we are waiting for? Tell this audience, what do you say?
Well, the greatest main event, no, obviously. It was never going to be the greatest main event. But they didn't say the greatest, it's the biggest.
Oh, and, biggest. Okay, semantics rage.
Semantics do reign in that, because you can make an argument, I suppose, with both titles on the line. It was the biggest. Yeah, the ending was short. Didn't really understand that. I mean, I guess maybe he just dislocated his shoulder and they needed to get him to the back. But I mean, I'm not a strong person, so I'm not saying I could pop my shoulder back into place. But you think the ringside doctor could do that quickly? You know, Paul Heyman could jump on the apron and just get, destroyed for like 10 minutes while they put the shoulder back in and continue the match. But I heard rumors from a few people that there was going to be, some of them just speculating, some of them slightly more credible, that there was supposed to be something at the end of the show, and it didn't happen. They wouldn't tell me what it was, so just keep that in mind. I have a couple ideas based on the conversations what it could have been, but
what were those things that you would want?
Well, I mean, everybody of course was talking about how it could be The Rock because of his mom on Twitter. And then
don't get mad excited.
Yeah. But I mean, just basically because of who I was talking to and what we had talked about throughout both nights of Mania, they know I was massively excited for Cody. And so the fact that they were like making sure that I was watching the end of WrestleMania, which of course I was going to watch, but the fact that they were making sure leads me to believe that there may have actually been some. They may have tried to start a Cody story at Mania. I don't know, but I mean, they got him to come back. So the story they pitched him had to involve a world title, maybe both, maybe just one, maybe the new one that they're going to inevitably create when NBC says, give us a title. We're not doing this without one. So I don't know what the story is, but it could have been Cody based on, again, someone reaching out to tell me that, but I have no idea. But I think that's honestly probably more likely why it ended 15 minutes early than the dislocated shoulder. Because I mean, AJ Styles was bleeding before the match started, and they wrestled for 30 minutes. So a dislocated shoulder, not for nothing, but that's not a big deal in the grand scheme of injuries. The Boogs match continued. Obviously, he didn't fight, but so it's just I don't think that they would have stopped the main event of WrestleMania for dislocated shoulder. They would have popped it back into place and just said, power through, buddy, and then kept going. It's the main event. That's just my 2 cents. I think that there was a plan, and then they decided not to do the plan. Because in fairness, the match was everything we'd seen. It wasn't, I mean, it was fine.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't bad.
I've seen this Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match before, not just because they've wrestled approximately 2,000 times, but because they've done this specific match almost every time they've wrestled. So maybe, the fans in person were less into it than they thought. The entrances, the beginning, everyone was super hyped, but by the end, maybe they're like, you know what, this is not really jiving with people. Let's not do a big moment that people are going to not care about. Let's just end it and we'll pick it up on Monday. Maybe. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that point. I don't understand why they ended it early. It might have been because of the injury, but I remember watching it. I didn't like 100% believe that was.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I didn't believe it really because the way he said, "Oh, it's out," it sounded like it was just kind of a sell, right? So and
Agree.
He did put both his arms up after, anyway.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Almost
and
immediately.
yeah. I'm sorry, but like, come on, really?
Almost
like,
immediately.
if
Yeah.
it's out, he's like this, and then he fights it. Okay. I can see him on Raw tonight coming out with a sling or something. You know what I mean?
That'd be funny.
Yes. So I also like how at the end when Roman's holding the title, he gives Paul Heyman another title, and Paul Heyman puts it on his shoulder like he won something. I thought I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I think both their wrestling styles just kind of match every single time. So we're seeing the same match, like how Ryan said, 1,000 times already. And it wasn't a bad match. It's just I've seen this before, and it was 15 minutes. It was like 15 minutes cut short. So I was also hoping a little Dwayne Johnson action, but we didn't get any. We just saw a bunch of fireworks, and that was it.
And this wasn't a mechanism, a tricking Eddie Guerrero. I'm hurt. Psych. And then he just hit a powerful enough.
Yeah, did Brock just like, if that is a serious injury, did Brock just torque it a little too hard? Like, did he actually just put it in on him? Like, did he just say F it?
He might have. I mean, I was at the Royal Rumble where Brock Lesnar decided to just repeatedly punch Braun Strowman in the head.
That was
for seemingly no reason. I think Braun got a little chippy or something in one of his moves, and so
got a little stiff.
Yeah, Brock took it upon himself to just, didn't hide it, just punched him directly in the face 3 times. Kane looked on in horror. Like, what am I supposed to do?
I guess we'll have to ultimately see how this pans out.
Might have been Smojo. I don't know.
Bottom line with this, the Roman has the 2 titles now. People wonder, what do you do next? How do you create now reputable opponents against him? Like, who's left on the list? Unless they just like to fusion people like in Dragon Ball Z to 2 wrestlers. You see Seth fuse with Finn Balor, and it's Finn Rollins.
That still wouldn't work. That still wouldn't be enough.
That still needs a little more build up.
Yeah, but now that it's a bottom line, they truly now, after this, the one big point, Roman is clearly the guy even more now. We're going to hit 600 days off on his streak. Now, like, this really, you could argue this does put him in a God mode. He's now 4-2 in WrestleMania main events, which is pretty solid for a guy who's only 37 years old. And I guess does this now mean we'll just see him grow into the most unstoppable force until he's ready to go to Hollywood?
Maybe Johnny Knoxville. He's got a WrestleMania win. I don't know. There's nobody is built credibly. I mean, it has to be Bobby or Drew, just based on what we watched. But I mean, even still, Drew beat Happy Corbin. That's that's not necessarily the biggest highlight. And Bobby beat Omos. I mean, both of them won, which is great, but neither one of them, beat like a top tier opponent. And whoever it is going to lose. I mean, there's nobody right now that looks like they're going to beat Roman, which was my actual only complaint with I knew it was going to happen. It's one of the few that I got right. My only complaint with the match was like, so Roman wins, which is great, but Brock's the only person who looks like they could beat Roman. And nobody looks like they can beat Brock. So definitely no one's going to beat Roman because at least Brock's old. You know what I mean? Like, every once in a while, they put a title on a young person off an old person, but Roman is not. He's currently active full time. He's one of the younger stars. So they're not going to, have some part-timer take the title off of him. They're not going to have, they're not going to ruin what they built in a young star for just anybody rather. So I don't know who it is. I mean, I heard people say that Braun Breaker's coming up, but that would be fast. He was barely on it. He's been on NXT for only like 5 months? And he was great. And he's former NXT champ. But he's coming off a loss to Dolph Ziggler, which on NXT means more than it does on the main roster, but still. So I don't know. I'm hearing his name. But I mean, that would be very fast. 5 months with the company and you're already on the collision course with Roman Reigns for SummerSlam. That feels really fast.
Hey guys, can you just give me 5 minutes, then we'll go back into Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Sure.
I think I have an announcement very quick. Just give me 5 minutes. We're gonna pause it. We'll be right back, everybody.
Okay.
All
Stone
right, we're
Cold.
back, ladies and gentlemen, and other people. I had to sign off really quick because I had heard some really good life news. Pretty giddy on. I will announce it very soon, but something I've been waiting a long time. But of course, we need to get the signatures in to make it official. But some cool life stuff taking place, and it'll be secret of AJ and Ryan. We'll find out. But
Yeah.
I'll
Tight
announce
circle.
that soon. I'll announce that soon once we have
inner
things
circle.
signed and official. But great stuff, gentlemen. And keep working, people. Don't give up. You don't know what happens. And I have to remind myself that too. But anyways, back to wrestling, which is more important at this moment right here. Anyways, so main event was cool. We talked about the short-term and long-term. Great stuff. And we'll see how the Raw after Mania facilitates that. But the one big thing, I mean, of a WrestleMania with so many moments, huge night, lots to celebrate. Hear this, guys. WrestleMania 38, right? We had something happen that generations of wrestling fans all love, casual fans got into, and it was trending worldwide on Twitter for a reason. But we saw Stone Cold Steve Austin return to the ring after a 19-year absence in a match. He gets invited to the KO show if Kevin Owens was making fun of the state of Texas. Stone Cold had to return to fight for the state of Texas. And it equals an insane moment in a no-holds-barred match where Stone Cold Steve Austin wins. Hell fucking yeah. Then after this, we get to see him again. And this will transition into our next point. So actually, we'll focus on night one, and then night two it'll be easier to talk about.
Them.
But step one, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeats Kevin Owens in the battle for Texas, and he won. How do we feel about the rattlesnake coming back? I mean, the catchphrases were there. I don't think you can have a bigger pop in the history of not only wrestling, but a crowd event. Now, that is what it's like to be liked by people. That's how you know you're over. I even saw Mickey James tweet, you think you're over, and then you see Stone Cold pop at WrestleMania. I think she literally tweeted that.
You think you're over, then the glass shatters.
Yeah. And
quite literally.
Even at the end of the day, if it was a 57-year-old man who, as Ryan mentioned, is all surgicaled up, he literally is the bionic redneck. You just soaked up all those 13 minutes in, and it was awesome. Just so awesome. So how do you guys feel about this, seeing Stone Cold back? And we're going to focus on night one first.
I mean, it was great that it was a match. I'm surprised it was a match, but it makes all of the build make sense. Like my biggest pet peeve when I talked last time on this show was 19 years is just factually inaccurate. We've seen him plenty of times since then, but it was his first match in 19 years. That was 100% true. They lived up to all of the hype that they sold because of that one fact that they actually had a match, and it was a real match. Stone Cold took a stunner from Kevin Owens. He which we'll talk about taking a stunner in a minute, I think. And he took that massive bump on the concrete and in the audience, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he bumped around a little bit, not like crazy, but I mean, it's Stone Cold. He barely bumped around for anyone that wasn't named The Rock when he was active. As an active wrestler, he bumped for almost nobody because he didn't need to. He would arrive, raise hell, leave. They put it on every t-shirt. So it was perfect for a Stone Cold return. For someone like myself and Matt, who came in just after Stone Cold, it was cool to now say that it was more than just the clips we used to see when he would make his occasional appearances, when they would do the packages from years previous, to have our own actual Stone Cold moment. For fans who are even younger, who maybe haven't even seen those clips, that were circulating through the Ruthless Aggression era when they would talk about the great matches, because now instead of Stone Cold, they talk about, John Cena as an example. I don't know how they would react, if they cared at all, maybe not. But for anyone who is even tangentially connected to Stone Cold from like, what is it, the 1990s to early 2000s.
Mhm.
This was definitely a cool moment, and especially for us being on that tail end to have our own Stone Cold moment that is genuinely just ours. It's with Kevin Owens, someone that we know very well, which I just thought was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think it was awesome just seeing Rock come back, honestly. I mean, not Rock,
If
Stone Cold.
only.
Yeah, not Stone Cold. Sorry, I was thinking about Rock versus Stone Cold. Me personally, when I was growing up, I only remember Stone Cold as basically when it was Brock versus Goldberg and Stone Cold came out as referee. And I used to see old clips because my dad used to show me and stuff like that, but I never saw him live, right? But Stone Cold when you hear that glass shatter, you know it's coming. You know what I mean? And that stunner. There were a couple stunners that were a little bit questionable. So we'll just say that.
We can't hear you, Matt.
Matt, you're shutting down on us, man.
All right. Well, Matt figures that out.
Back. Yes. Sorry about that.
Ryan, we're about to take this thing over.
Hey, I would trust you two with the ship for sure. But, to your point, AJ, you think this guy was literally, even though he literally looks like it, he was a grandpa figure. He was his legendary, like, that is the Stone Cold. And once you mess with Texas, needed one more. And he gave the stutters, and Kevin Owens, even though now no one knows what to do with him, great sport in this. Awesome heel antics. I mean, when he said the Mexican joke, when he was like, Mexico, it's right there.
It's right there. The ATV spot, too, when he couldn't start the ATV. I don't know if that was true and if that was like supposed to happen. But when he got on the ATV and tried to drive away and it wouldn't start,
it's just straight up trying to steal it. And
he just come on, and then Stone Cold shows up right behind him. It was very funny.
Yeah,
it actually reminded me of AJ and the Undertaker in that Boneyard match. He's trying to bury him and he can't get the thing to start, and then it powers up and the Undertaker's behind him. It's very similar vibes. Just he's trying to run away, he's trying to turn it on, and then boom, gets hit with a dose of Stone Cold.
The champ is here. The champ is here with that. So shouts there. And then it was awesome. Nice pin. And Pat McAfee said today he had 40 beers on Saturday alone. It was cool. Saw him celebrate with his brother. And that was great. And then we saw and then how we tied this all together. First, the match. This was probably my favorite moment in WrestleMania. Pat McAfee defeated Austin Theory with Mr. McMahon in a dope singles match. First, you have Austin Theory come in. First you have Mr. McMahon come in, and his strut will always get people going. My dad even tuned into wrestling, and he only watched it with me and my brothers. But I heard he was always a Mr. McMahon fan. Remember, Ryan?
Every
specifically.
What's going to happen when he hears that I'm writing about wrestling now as part of my job? I think he's going to ask me every time about Vince McMahon.
How's Mr. McMahon? What's he up to?
And now I have answers, maybe.
This was great for him. Austin Theory came in, and we got Pat McAfee coming out to Seven Nation Army, which I guess he paid for himself. That's an expensive song. I don't know if I heard that correctly, but I heard like he bought the rights for that song.
That's crazy if he bought that, but I mean...
Yeah, I mean, he could get it.
Was crazy though.
DraftKings pays him a shit ton, so
that's a good point.
Might as
he
well.
Doesn't have money. He has money, so.
So that was the entrance. Ryan, you were telling me, or you were texting, you thought he might have been nervous at first, and then I don't know if something just snapped in him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was nervous, obviously, but it was just he managed to perform. I thought there would be more energy when he came out, and that's what kind of had me thinking he might have been a little nervous. But you know what? Once the bell rang, that was all he needed, right?
He was in his podcasting outfit. He was in his podcasting fit. That just was perfect. He literally wore the same thing today.
Yeah, that was undefeated for that.
Probably the 6 versions he has of it, but so cool. So many great spots. Let's talk about the backflip alone. All the suplexes he was doing, it was so dope. You get the short, cheap pin off Austin Theory so you don't make him look too weak. And I love this part. I love seeing fellow podcaster Pat McAfee just kick ass in a WWE ring. Arguably had one of the other biggest pops of the night. Well, we could all agree Stone Cold's number one, but you could argue Pat was up there for 2 or 3. If people love this guy, he is important to the WWE universe, and he didn't disappoint. When we'll talk about the first part of the 3 segments, pretty much. So first with Pat and Austin Theory, were you guys as excited as I am?
Yeah, not excited as you are, but I thought I was definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was not looking forward to as much as you, Matt. But I think I don't know, I'm pretty interested in the Austin Theory character. I want to see where they take from here because I'm pretty sure he's being groomed to be something bigger than he is right now. I don't know, but I do agree with Ryan though when he said that Pat McAfee, he came out looking a little bit shy. I was expecting him to come out just screaming at the crowd, going crazy, but he wasn't. He was kind of just, I guess he went for the focused look, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then the punt.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good punt, yeah.
And the win's the win. Now we get the second part of this match. The stare down. Mr. McMahon in his 76-year-old buff self, taking the shirt off, people going crazy. And then here we go. The big stare down of stare downs. Pat McAfee and Vince McMahon then have a match. This is real.
Vince McMahon looked the entire world in the eye and said, anything Steve Austin does, I can do older.
Literally.
He was not going to let Stone Cold Steve Austin and then Dusty Rhodes' son upstage him at WrestleMania. And I believe that is 100% what happened.
Do you think this was decided literally in that very moment?
Yes. I think they may have said, hey, how do we get Steve Austin on night 2? Because they gave Undertaker his thing for both nights. And I think Vince probably just looked at whoever and said, don't worry about it, pal. and then everything else was just him. I genuinely believe that they were like, we want Steve Austin on twice. And Vince said, easy work, don't worry about it. And then went ahead and just fought Pat McAfee. It wasn't much of a fight, really.
He won. This is Mr. McMahon's first ever WrestleMania win.
I know. He usually loses at Mania, so I guess he felt it.
He needed that one.
He felt it was okay because Pat McAfee is not an active wrestler. He would never make an active wrestler lose to him at Mania, but Pat McAfee's not an active wrestler, so all bets are off. He could take the W there.
And he took it, and that was just dope. I think
Michael Cole is still the only undefeated announcer at WrestleMania.
And Pat will now his record's 1-3 at all time.
Yeah, 1-1 at WrestleMania though, which is crazy since he's only wrestled at one Mania.
Does he just go back to commentary now? Like after just getting his ass kicked
I
by
don't
the
know
boss?
Like
how does that even? Is he gonna sit there and be like, yeah, Vince McMahon just kind of came out and took a fair W over me. Yeah, he beat me.
No, I don't know. I really think they might actually take him off commentary for a while.
Oh, how can you do that? That you piss off a lot of people.
I almost wonder if
myself included.
I don't know if they're going to move him a little bit more active. Because
as a wrestler.
I mean, not like he's not going to be Universal Champion, man. Let's settle down. But
except for a football season,
in the United States Championship.
I think this story is going to stick around. I think Shane was brought back for a reason. I think it's to be a part of this story as well. But I think McAfee and the McMahons is going to stick around. I really do. I think that this is going to be a genuine feud that they keep in their back pocket. And I do think they're going to move him off of commentary for a little while. And then maybe he's going to fight. Maybe that's the blow off. He fights for his job back. Or Michael Cole gets in trouble of some kind. Because Michael Cole, for his part in the story, obviously usually very down the line by the book commentator. Except for when he wasn't. He was a massive McAfee fan in the match. I'm not saying like personally. I'm sure he also likes working with him, but his character in the match, like Byron Saxton, was like, "Cool, you got to calm down. Vince is sitting right there and clearly wants Austin Theory to win. So just call the match normal." And he wouldn't do it. He was standing up. He was like moving around, kind of like McAfee does. I was like, if he gets on that table, I'm gonna lose it over the commentary team in this match. So they clearly are telling, like, Michael Cole is part of the story too. So I really do think it's possible that they're going to keep doing this.
Fine by me,
this
but as
story.
long as you somehow keep Pat on TV, it was great. He didn't call the main event. I guess he was too tired at that point. But and guess he went back home. He was in his indie studio today,
Yep.
and I don't know. I hope that whatever it is, we just need more Pat, because you just saw how much the crowd ate him up, and all the crowds, everyone loves Pat McAfee.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's there not to like
Yeah.
about him? And then we just see the end with Stone Cold, as you mentioned. Stone Cold comes back, just opens up a can of whoop ass. Can we just talk about it may be the worst stunner of all time.
The three stunners, a stunner in 3 parts. There was Austin Theory's stunner. He sold it like The Rock. He like fell back, did a flip in the air. He ended up hitting the ground like 3 times off of one stunner. Vince McMahon
had the fun.
It looked like his legs just evaporated, and he was just a torso falling to the ground.
He had to pick him up to do a stunner again.
He
I thought he was
slipped.
choking.
Yeah, he slipped. Stone Cold had to grab him off the ropes and bring him into the stunner because he slipped. And then McAfee took a stunner.
That was a good. He sold
It was
that.
a good stunner, and not as good as Austin Theory did. I thought Austin Theory was going to find his way to the next stadium. But then at the end, I know we're kind of zooming through, but that's okay. We had McAfee drinking the beer while unconscious.
Yeah,
which was hysterical.
That's
Great
an awesome
segment.
ultimate meme.
Yeah, that was
Great
insane.
segment.
That
Something
was
for
insane.
everybody. It was great.
Yeah,
that
that
was
was
great.
just as fun as it can be. Let's go. I mean, that really will be one of my favorite segments. I'll always rewatch. It was just when fun and really dope fun come together with lots of laughs. And that was just, I mean, that cannot be any more exciting for 15 minutes. And it was great. And for some reason, 1010 Wins is reporting Kim Kardashian meets Pete Davidson's grandparents. And like, this is why nobody listens to you anymore. So that's how to make that point. But anyways, what a good time that was. Where else do I go from here? Why don't we talk about the women, some women wrestling? Bianca Belair, she redeems and gets revenge from getting embarrassed at SummerSlam. She defeats Becky Lynch by pinfall in a really, really exciting match. Becky is a loser now. Becky has lost.
Whoa.
Well, not a loser. Well, she's a loser. She lost.
Whoa. Take it easy. Take it easy.
Undefeated at WrestleMania is Bianca Belair. And I say, new Undertaker. Let's just roll with it.
Yeah, we
Just
got a
have her
ways to
win.
go to 22, but
Well, I'm not saying 22, but I am saying you can honestly, it was almost like a championship match back then. And wouldn't it be cool if Bianca really does, and she's earned it so far. She was probably match. I hate saying it because I really want it to be Cody and Seth, but it was probably the best match of WrestleMania, Bianca and Becky. And last year, it was the best match. Like, that wasn't even a question. Last year, Sasha and Bianca was the moment of the night, was the match of the night. They won an ESPY for it. It was literally the best thing on the card last year, without question. Not that there wasn't other good stuff on the card, but so she's already earned the reputation of like Miss WrestleMania or Mrs. WrestleMania. I don't know how you want to do that. But you keep that going, and then eventually you can have 2 women's title matches, whatever nonsense they do with the tag team titles every year, and then a Bianca match. And all 4 of those are going to feel like a massive deal if Bianca keeps putting on these kind of WrestleMania performances. It was that good.
Yeah, she keeps on putting on like really good classics for WrestleMania.
Not that Becky wasn't part of it. Of course she wasn't. Same with Sasha last year. But you have to look at the common denominator. It was the match of the night. It was match of the year for WrestleMania twice.
Yeah, I think she's a good worker. They're both really good workers.
So yes, give her a good talent. Obviously, I'm not saying Eva Marie and Bianca Belair was going to be match of the year, but Bianca's clearly a big part of the winning formula for why these matches get so over, why why there's so much hype to them, and why they end up delivering on like all counts.
Yeah, this was my second best match of the night. Second best match of the night, in my opinion.
Okay. And I'm sure we'll hit that best match soon, but why don't we talk about that match Ryan was really hyped about, we could see, and probably one of the greatest returns ever, one of the coolest.
Oh yeah.
Seth freaking Rollins comes out, and then after a 6-year absence, Cody Rhodes it returns as almost the AEW Cody Rhodes too. As we mentioned, Ryan, or you mentioned, this was a great day for Vince McMahon to swallow his pride and gave the best men's match, in my opinion, as you said as well. AJ, was this your favorite match, the best match you were saying?
Come on. It has to be. It has to be.
I want AJ. I so badly want it to be. You have no idea.
Here's the floor, guys. You guys go. Tell me about Cody Rhodes' return against Seth.
We can't
Rollins.
really go into all of it, all of the things I noticed, because we don't have the time. I've watched this match 3 times already. But just in general, anyone who's saying that this was Cody selling out and not Vince, by the way, and not Vince is wrong. Cody Rhodes left because he was told he was, talk about the Daniel Bryan B+ player story. He was basically told, you're here because your father is a big deal and you're okay in the ring. So put on your silly little face paint. By the way, when he did the Stardust cartwheel, I literally lost it. I was so happy. And so he left. He bet on himself. He started his own company, did the indie thing, and now he's back. And I don't think this is hyperbole. Drew McIntyre's not going to beat Roman Reigns. Big E might have been able to, but he's gone now. Cody Rhodes is really, genuinely speaking, if we know for a fact that SummerSlam is when Roman's losing the title to set up The Rock at the next WrestleMania, the only person on the entire roster right now who could take the title from him is Cody Rhodes, and that's not hyperbole. He's the biggest babyface on their roster, and he's had exactly one match. Exactly one match. And so he won. And I know it probably stings. I mean, listen, I like AEW. My favorite wrestler is on AEW, still, even to this day. But I'm always going to be a WWE guy. It's what I grew up on. And so I am a little biased for that reason. But I mean, this was the point the whole time. I can be a big star, even if you don't see it. That was his entire credo when he left. And he's the biggest babyface in a company he just came back to after 6 years. He's not even the biggest babyface on AEW. They were booing him for the last 5 months. They wanted him to turn heel. So he didn't want to he didn't want to do that. And so they wouldn't treat him like a babyface. He came to the bigger company, is the biggest babyface they have on their roster. The match was perfect because Seth is one of the best heels they have on their roster. It went on for the perfect amount of time. It was exactly the match they wanted. It was a work rate match, so Cody proved he can still do that AEW. It's not an AEW style, it's still WWE style, but it was faster. It was, far more action. It took some big bumps, and so he proved that, I'm not going to come in here and just bionic elbow, wear the polka dots, and cash a paycheck. He's going to bring some of that AEW in-ring edge to his character, just same way as his entrance was AEW. I mean, it was perfect. It was packaged perfectly. If you haven't seen him in AEW, it might confuse you a tiny bit. I'm not going to lie. I'm serious. I'm not going to lie. If you're like, what the hell? Stardust is back. If you've genuinely not. Right.
And much bigger physically too.
Yeah. If you have no idea the story behind it, if you didn't follow him in 2016 when he went away, then maybe this isn't as big a deal to you, but most of the industries followed it because he literally changed the industry with AEW. So, and with All In before that. So this is a massive get for Vince. Vince swallowed his pride and put, again, the best babyface on his roster in a prominent role against one of his top heels in a match that literally the entire wrestling universe, doesn't matter how big a mark for either company you are. If you don't think you want to see Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, you're wrong. AEW, if it went the other way, if Seth had left and gone to AEW and they had this match on Revolution, it'd be the same exact thing, by the way. And their fans would be every bit, like, they'd easily be like, yeah, this is one of the best matches that you could possibly book in 2022. And it is. And WWE got it for WrestleMania. And, when you put it on there with like Johnny Knoxville, you have you literally have it something for everybody.
Yeah.
You got people crashing into giant hands, absolutely. And you have two of the best. But Cody Rhodes, again, number one babyface in WWE right now. It's not a question. I will not be taking any other opinions on this matter. And I'm so excited for Raw to hear him do that first promo. I'll be a little disappointed if he mentions AEW at all. I hope he doesn't. He did it in his interviews after, like in the media scrum, and I hope that's all he does. I hope this character has a message for WWE, and it's WWE based, and it hopefully it's calling out, I want a world title. But it was superb. I don't think in ring it was better than Bianca and Becky, and that's really crazy to say. It's definitely my favorite. Like of all the matches, it was my favorite. I've rewatched it 3 times. But if I'm going purely from like the action, like in the ring, the story they told in the ring, it was. I think Bianca and Becky's still technically better. But for my money, this was my favorite match. AJ obviously already said this is his favorite match, and I think a lot of people probably agree. This was one of the most in a WrestleMania full of moments. This was one of them.
AJ, tell us, let us know your thoughts too.
Come on, don't even get me started on this match. The big old pimp, the future, the prince of the authority. You already know who it is. Seth Rollins walks out with the Messiah music. The big old pimp himself walks around, does his thing. He's like, "Don't make me wait." And then the music hits. I didn't realize at first, right? So I'm sitting on the couch with my dad, and
were you waiting for smoke and mirrors or?
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for. I was like, "Uh-oh."
I'm so glad they did.
I was like,
oh my god.
No. You know what I mean?
Another big bill they had to pay.
Yeah,
well,
no. One thing
Cody owns that.
Yeah,
he does.
He used that in every once he left. He got that song. I mean, the lyrics to that song are tailor made for him.
Glad that WWE let that happen too. I mean, that's the big point, the selling point for that pop. But sorry to interrupt, AJ. Keep going.
No, you're good. You're good. No, I thought they were gonna troll with Shane McMahon.
I'm so glad they didn't. I did. I
thought they were going to. I was like, I wouldn't be mad, but yeah, I would be mad actually. I was lying. But yeah, I thought it was the best match of the night. I love the Stardust reference. I don't know. I maybe that's it though. Maybe that's it. You know what I mean? No more referencing Stardust. That one reference was awesome. That one reference was awesome. I loved in the ring when Rollins said "Welcome to the big leagues" and smacked Cody in the mouth. I thought that was a nice dig at AEW, to be honest.
I think that was, I don't know, one of the things that sold this. I have to, is that Seth Rollins is the company guy, and AJ knows this because I'm sure he sees his media and stuff. If your name is not Jon Moxley, Seth Rollins has nothing to do with you anymore. If you go to AEW, he doesn't care. He's not an AEW fan. He's never pretended to be. I mean, he respects obviously the in-ring that those people do because it's very good. But I think the only person he genuinely likes on AEW is Moxley. And I think that that's not a dig at anyone. He's a WWE guy.
Yeah, he's a WWE guy.
This is the big leagues and I'm in the big leagues and I'm not going to let someone go somewhere else and pretend like that's the spot because I worked hard to get my spot here. And I think he defends that spot and he defends the company. So to have the founder of AEW go against like consummate, WWE guy. And then as AJ actually pointed out, I didn't even think about this. At one point, he was presented as a literal member of the management of the company. Seth Rollins was literally in the authority. I know that's not really management, but they were presented as management, and he was in that faction.
He's Triple H, home and grown,
Yeah, well, and then the two of them are Triple H. Oh. This is a weird show. You should probably
chaos. It's chaos.
We might need to make do a part 2.
All right, we're gonna hold that thought, and I'll be right back with this due to
Matt, maybe we should do a part 2 to this one. This might take a little longer to put together.
Exactly. So
okay,
we'll be right back with this as we record and make sure there's no fire. So we'll be back. Keep those thoughts, even if it's a day. I will. I'll let you know, but we'll be right back.
AJ's got notes. We're good.
Yeah, I got notes. We're chilling.
All right. BRB.